The road was a thin ribbon of black under the moon. I drove slow. The radio was low, just a whisper of music. That did little to fill the great pressing quiet of the car. The air, pulled in through the vents, smelled of wet asphalt and damp earth. A clean, lonely scent that I've always associated with the freedom of night driving. I liked the solitude. It made my thoughts quieter. It made the world feel small and close, contained within the weak circle of my headlights. It was almost midnight, deep into the 5th hour of a drive that had dissolved into a hypnotic rhythm of rain and road. The world outside my windshield was a black, slick void, punctuated only by the rhythmic sweep of the wipers and the endless white lines being fed into the darkness. That's when I saw the first thing. It was just a smudge in the periphery at first, a disruption in the monotonous pattern of trees and guardrails. As I got closer, it looked like a discarded coat, maybe snagged on a fence post next to a rusted mailbox, a common piece of roadside detritus. Just a dark, slumped shape against the gloom. But something about its form felt deliberate, too composed for random trash. Against my better judgment, I slowed the car. My curiosity, a strange, cold flame, piqued more than my fear. My headlights crept forward, the beams kissing the shape, giving it form and texture in the pouring rain. It was not a coat. It was a person, standing perfectly still next to that rusted mailbox, their head bowed slightly. They stood like a lonely traveler waiting for a bus that would never come on a road that led to nowhere. My stomach tightened into a cold, hard knot, and I felt my hands clamp down on the steering wheel. There was something deeply, fundamentally wrong about the stillness of the figure, an unnatural rigidity that defied the wind and rain. It was a statue carved from night. For a split second, as my car drew level, its head lifted. I saw a face, a pale, blank oval utterly devoid of features. And in that pale oval, a single, slow blink, like a camera shutter opening and closing on my soul. Then it was gone, swallowed by the darkness in my rearview mirror as if it had never been there at all. I pressed the accelerator, telling myself it was a trick of the light, a waking dream born from my tired mind and the endless, empty road. But the image was burned behind my eyes. The road bent, and then opened up into a long, straight stretch. My dead phone was a useless black rectangle, a stark reminder of my isolation. I had turned the radio up, hoping for a song or a voice, but it only hissed. Then, a pair of headlights bloomed in my rearview mirror. Another person, another car. It stayed right there, like a patient animal stalking its prey. At a small, one-lane bridge, I slowed to let a truck pass. For a moment, the world was noise and motion. When it was gone, the car that had been behind me was now in front of me. It had no taillights on. The driver's side window was a dark, impenetrable void. I moved to pass, but it simply matched my pace, window aligned with mine. This was wrong. This was all wrong. The patient animal was now leading, and I felt like I was being herded. I wanted to take the next exit, but an invisible force seemed to hold the wheel steady. I missed the turn. The white lines seemed to pull me forward. One soft, gentle sound, then two more. A gentle 3-beat pattern. A summons. Against every screaming instinct, I pulled over. A man stepped out. Thin, tall, coat too big for his narrow shoulders. "Can I help you?" I asked, my voice small and fragile. He smiled. It was the wrong shape. His teeth were too many, too bright, like polished stones.
"Are you okay?"
"Just lost," I said. "My phone is dead." He produced a small yellow flashlight. His face became sharp angles and deep shadows.
"You could come with me. There is a place a short walk from here. Warm. People. The road forgets some people. It can turn your map upside down."
I said no. He nodded, returned to his car, and drove away without taillights. I sat there a long time, saying little prayers, begging for the sun to rise. The immediate threat was over, but his words echoed. The road forgets some people. On the next bend, where the trees grew thick and close, a child stood in the middle of the road. He just stood there, looking straight at me with eyes big and dark. My foot slammed the brake. The car stopped just feet from the boy. His shoes were old-fashioned leather, damp and perfectly clean. I opened my window a crack. He smelled like fresh rain, like clean soap. "Where are your parents? Do you need help?" He pointed toward the dark trees. "She waits," he said, voice thin as wire, and ran into the trees. I sat breathing, then drove away, feeling the road hum beneath me. I wondered if I had imagined the child, a phantom stitched by stress and the suffocating darkness of the road. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel, a desperate anchor to a reality that felt like it was dissolving around me. I told myself to be rational. It was a prank, a cruel joke played on a lone driver. Or maybe a microsleep, a dream bleeding into the waking world. But the words, "she waits," had hooked themselves into my mind. A quiet, insistent promise. And then, as if summoned by the thought, I saw a light ahead. It wasn't the familiar glare of headlights, but a single isolated point, like a lost star, or a solitary firefly hanging impossibly still over the center line. It drifted from side to side, a slow, hypnotic pendulum. It moved like it had a mind of its own, a curious intelligence studying my approach. As I drew closer, my headlights met the glow, and the world turned an ethereal, liquid silver. The rain-slicked asphalt shimmered, and the dashboard became a landscape from another world. It drew nearer, pulsing, breathing, with a soft, silent cadence. Inhale, a brighter silver. Exhale, a gentle dimming. It was alive. Every instinct, every primal cell in my body screamed to turn around, to floor it, to do anything but continue toward this impossible living light. But my foot was leaden on the accelerator. The road wanted passage. As I passed directly beneath it, the light flared, a final blinding inhalation, and then vanished. In the sudden, profound darkness, a cold hand pressed down on my shoulder. The seatbelt bit into my chest. I cried out and looked. The back seat was empty. The road behind me was gone, swallowed by a blackness that my headlights couldn't pierce. My skin was cold and slick where it had touched me. The impossible pressure lingered, possessive, a claim, a mark of passage. The night was no longer just watching me from the periphery. It was interacting, reaching out to be known, to be felt. I was no longer just a driver passing through. I was a participant. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely keep them on the wheel. Inside, a careful spidery hand, "Stay to the lines. Do not leave the car." She likes to walk with light. The lines sharpened, ropes to guide me through a treacherous passage. I threw it out, but the night kept it near. It drifted back to my lap. The static gave up, leaving a void of absolute silence. I passed houses with sagging porches and windows like closed lids. One stood back from the road with a single light, warm and wrong. A woman watched the road, perfectly still, a guard at her post. She turned and walked inside with deliberate grace. The door closed without a sound. She felt like a seam, a single stitch holding two realities together. Her presence wasn't threatening, only unsettling, part of the road's secrets. My car hummed, its tires whispering on the asphalt, the only sound in the world. I replayed the statue by the mailbox, the man with the wrong smile, the child of rain, the breathing light, the warning note, the silent woman. At a sharp bend where the trees opened, I saw it. It was not a person, nor a light, but a shape belonging to the road itself. Tall, unnervingly thin, the same deep dark as the tree's shadows. Where its head should be, a small antique lamp glowed, pulsing like an old, tired heart. My engine coughed, sputtered, and died. The dashboard went black. The radio went silent. The lamp made the line at my tire's edge impossibly clean. The twig tapped 3 times, the softest dry tick of a slow clock. "You are not far," it said, neither cruel nor kind. A fact. It stood like a forgotten road sign, patient and final. I had many small, frantic thoughts, a useless swarm buzzing in the sudden silence. Did I run out of gas? No, the gauge was half full. The battery? But the dashboard lights were still glowing, a faint, sickly green. I turned the key again. Nothing. Not even a cough. Just a dead, hollow click that seemed to echo in the vast emptiness outside. Far ahead, the man and child I had passed earlier stood motionless. They watched me. I was sure of it. Their stillness feeling like a judgment. It was as if they were rereading a tragic story they already knew by heart. The child's whisper from before returned, a cold memory in my mind. I had to get out. The car felt like a trap. I stepped onto the asphalt, and the air was so cold it was a physical shock, a pain in my lungs. The strange lamp I'd been driving towards warmed the world in slow, shifting bands of silver light. It wasn't a street light. It was just there. It bent at the waist, a formal, almost courteous gesture that was deeply unsettling. The lamp, its head, held a small, ornate mirror in a hand that was too long, too thin. It showed me the glass. But it wasn't my reflection. There was only the road behind me, an absolute empty blackness, and the distant receding headlights of my own car.
You broke a rule, it said, its voice a monotone hum like electricity. You stopped. You looked too closely. You stopped for the wrong things. The road does not want attention. It is not a place to be seen, only a place to move through. It wants passage. It wants people small and insignificant, anonymous, eyes straight ahead, minds fixed only on the destination, never on the journey itself. It notices when they forget. It remembers those who stop to look. It makes patterns out of those who linger at the margins. The figure tapped the white line with the mirror's edge. Leave, it said. Get back in your car. Leave and forget what you saw.
I didn't need to be told twice. I slipped back in, the door slamming shut. This time the engine turned over instantly, roaring to life as the radio spat a single burst of static. I drove. The white lines hummed under my tires like a frantic drumbeat, a rhythm for escape. In the first town I came to, a place with 3 streetlights and a closed-down diner, I parked and waited, with the engine running, until morning.